Dear Dharma friends, welcome to our channel. Here we talk about the teachings of the Buddha in the Theravada tradition. So we have a bunch of suttas, teachings done by our great teacher, the Buddha, the enlightened one. And there's a book called Samyutta Nikaya, which is called Connected Discourses in English. There is a section dedicated for the questions of devas, deities. So at the time of the Buddha, when Buddha was living at Savatthi, in the Anathapindika's monastery, one night a deity came to the Buddha and asked this question. So these questions asked by these deities are so meaningful, and the devas or deities ask these questions in verses. So this deity asked the Buddha, how many must one cut, how many abandon, and how many further must one develop? When a bhikkhu has surmounted how many ties, is he called a crosser of the flood? So let's analyze this question. How many must one cut? There are bonds which have to be cut. And this deity asks, how many bonds are there that should be cut? And how many bonds should be abandoned? And how many further must one develop? So there are wholesome qualities that have to be developed. So this deity asks, how many of these qualities should be developed? And he asks, when a bhikkhu has surmounted how many ties, is he called a crosser of the flood? That means, how many ties or attachments should a bhikkhu overcome or surmount to be called a crosser of the flood? Flood means the flood of samsara, the flood of defilements. And beings are dragged into the samsara because of these floods. And to be called a crosser of the flood, how many ties or how many attachments should he surmount and overcome? So this is the question. So Buddha answered, one must cut off 5, abandon 5. So there are 5 bonds which have to be cut, and there are 5 bonds which have to be abandoned. So the 5 bonds which have to be cut are the 5 fetters, 5 lower fetters. They are the identity view, doubt, wrong grasp of behavior and observances, ill will, and sensual desire. These are called the 5 lower fetters, which tie the beings to the samsaric existence. And Buddha said, these 5 lower fetters should be cut. So beings are attached to the lower worlds, the 4 bad destinations, and the sensual sphere. So 4 bad destinations are hell, animal world, the world of the Titans, and the world of ghosts or fetters. So these are called the bad destinations where beings are reborn to suffer in those bad realms. And also there's the human world and the Deva's world, and the heaven, the Deva world. So these are the worlds in the sensual sphere. So beings are attached to the worlds in this sensual sphere with these 5 lower fetters. They have to be cut, Buddha said. And there are 5 higher fetters which have to be abandoned, the 5 bonds which tie the beings into the higher worlds, the Brahma worlds, the form Brahma worlds and formless Brahma worlds. So beings are attached to these worlds with these 5 higher fetters. They have to be abandoned, Buddha said. So there are 5 fetters which have to be cut, and there are 5 fetters which have to be abandoned. 5 higher fetters are desire for form, desire for the formless, conceit, restlessness, and ignorance. These are the 5 higher fetters. So that's why the Buddha answered this deity. One must cut off 5, abandon 5. So the 5 lower fetters should be cut, 5 higher fetters should be abandoned, and must develop a further 5 That means there are 5 other qualities, wholesome qualities, which have to be developed further. So these are the 5 faculties: faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. The 5 faculties should be developed. They are wholesome. These wholesome qualities should be developed further. And Buddha said, a bhikkhu who has surmounted 5 ties is called a crosser of the flood. So there is this flood of samsara, flood of existence. And a bhikkhu would cross this flood of existence if he surmounts these 5 ties. So these 5 ties are greed, hatred, delusion, conceit, and views. These 5 ties should be surmounted. The bhikkhu should overcome these 5 ties to be called a crosser of the flood. So that is an arahant. So in this verse, the Buddha explains the life of an arahant, how a disciple will become an arahant. So in order to become an arahant, to be called a crosser of the flood, he has to cut off the 5 lower fetters. He has to abandon the 5 higher fetters. And he has to develop the 5 faculties and then overcome 5 ties. So this verse was uttered by the Buddha, and this deity was very happy to hear that. So the name of this sutta is KatiChinda Sutta. That means, how many must one cut? So today we learned this beautiful sutta. I hope this sutta will help you to practice your path to escape from suffering. May you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.